Hey, I'm here in my childhood room in Stigler, just sneaking a quick video in. Um, yeah, I think it was inspired by somebody on Facebook posted about in an inquiry group that I'm in, posted about how, humans have different security blankets that they sort of grasp onto as they go through the process and then gradually let go of them. And, I wrote that, or somebody else wrote, "Oh, trust in the universe. That's my security blanket." And I was like, what did I say? Trust for me is the scariest thing in the universe. But I'm slowly getting there. After all, what the heck else do I have to trust? It's hopeful that the many sages who've gone before had such similar experiences and such diverse ways to express them. Little by little, a picture emerges and then changes, and then one day has to be done away with entirely. Um, and I don't know. I just thought all this Sturm und Drang, all this like striving and striving not to strive. All the security blankets we grasp onto and then let go of. I mean, from a certain perspective, it could all just be seen as completely pathetic, just comically pathetic. And, maybe we're the ones spinning our wheels more than anyone else on the planet. Maybe there's really, really, really nothing to anything. And trying to imagine there is at the same time we keep trying to mold it to what we experience. Ultimately getting to, I guess everything's made of the same stuff and interdependent, and I should just chill out. Like, that's kind of not that profound of an insight at the end of the day. Maybe it's just going back to being kids. You kids, you already don't care about the rest of the world. You're very much in your own little scenario, and most kids are reasonably chill, at least on some levels, unless you give them the wrong cup, and then you watch out. Um, I don't know, man. I kind of lost what exactly it was that inspired this because I went and watched another video for half an hour. But I think the bottom line is that even if it is comically pathetic, even if we are fooling ourselves absolutely as much as, if not more than anyone else, um, that's okay in a sense because we are what we are. We're made how we're made. I mean, the wish not to embody or cause suffering is as noble as any other. And it's easier, in a sense, than going out and trying to meddle in the world and make it in our own image. It's also harder in some senses, of course. We don't like to. I mean, it's like physically painful in some sense to turn it around and look at ourselves and the ways that we might be wrong. It feels like attacking ourselves in a sense, or we just notice when other people have different opinions and it feels like them attacking us. Like Ahmed and I were watching a game, and I was kind of going for Liverpool. He was kind of going for Real Madrid, and this Real Madrid player was just like being super aggressive for no real reason, just kind of being a jerk, in my opinion. And the other guy finally like flopped, right? Which is not the best uh, response necessarily, because I don't think he got actually punched in the eye or whatever he was pretending happened. But still, it was like, dude, like get off me. Um, or maybe just, hey, I can use this to my advantage because it's clear he's being aggressive. So maybe I can make it look like he got even more aggressive and, get some benefit from that or teach him a lesson. Who knows, right? Who knows? Um, and they ended up both getting yellow cards. And I asked Ahmed, I'm like, did he get a yellow card because he flopped? And he said, no, they were just kind of both, both being rough. And I was like, no, the first guy, the Real Madrid guy, was clearly the instigator. And Ahmed said, no, I don't think so. And I felt it kind of rising up in me like, no, the guy was clearly being an asshole. You can't even see you can't even distinguish an asshole when you see one, or you just totally like so up Real Madrid's ass that you just don't see them doing anything wrong. That was the impulse that came up in me, and I didn't act on it. I just kind of, smiled and said, "Well, I guess we need to fight now." Kind of making fun of myself, or making fun of humans, maybe, I don't know. And he just smiled, and that was it. Like it didn't become a thing, I just I'm still a bit baffled about how he can see that differently than I did, but it's okay. I could be baffled. Maybe I'm sure he's baffled about me plenty. He doesn't make a big deal out of it, generally speaking. But yeah, even if it turns out that we are the biggest jokes in a species that's already a big joke, that's okay. And it's okay because we're doing our best here. And sometimes people get a little high and mighty or a little like poetic in a way that, I mean, sometimes it seems like people are fooling themselves a little bit. Sometimes it seems like people think they're super chill and then like the tiniest little thing ends up kind of setting them off. And you're like, but I guess that's okay too because I mean, it's like somebody said, it's like a security blanket. It's like imagining that you have some kind of equanimity. I mean, the person I'm thinking about now, he kind of got hurt by a little bit of a sharp comment after he wrote a little poetic thing. But he talked about how, the hurt was not a problem. It moved through him, like blah, blah, blah. Reminded him of some past hurt and he was able to digest it and, it's all good. And then she apologized. And I don't know anybody else's internal state. And I'm sure some of my videos probably don't exactly reflect my internal state or maybe unwittingly reveals certain things about my internal state that even I'm not aware of. Um, But it's okay because we are lost in a soup of the unknowable and the inexplicable and the painful and the beautiful. I don't know, my suffering, I feel like it has definitely it's somewhat acute sometimes lately. It's kind of like you clear some things out and then more things rush up to fill that. And it's like perhaps it's telling me like, okay, keep going, you know? It's not going to sort of leave me complacent at a certain level. The teacher keeps prodding me in the back or in the heart or in the belly. And again, maybe I'm just making myself miserable for no reason. And none of this has anything to do with teaching. None of it has to do with levels or enlightenment or anything. It's just like I'm finding a new way to torture myself. That's entirely possible. Um, so I might as well admit that because I don't know. I don't really know what the hell's going on here. Even when I'm doing breath work or something, and there's moments of like semi bliss or just, and then something will come in, and it's kind of like less pleasant, and it's like, oh, come on, I just wanted the bliss. Um, but it's like, no, it's not just bliss. That's not the point. You float around in a cloud of bliss. You'd probably be insufferable. Completely lose touch with everybody else. Think you're better than everybody else. Apparently, suffering is part of the deal here until you figure out how not to suffer. And then, I mean, who knows? Maybe new vistas will open up and something will make more sense. But anyway, the point is people climb mountains because they're there, right? Here's a mountain for me to climb. I can walk around the mountain, walk away from the mountain, be like, oh, that would have been interesting. Who knows? Who knows what's up there? Who knows what it looks like from up there? And I might waste years, decades trying to climb a mountain that's illusory at the end of the day or unhelpful or who knows. Maybe I'm being prodded in this direction by hubris at the end of the day. It's just another way to be better than other people when everything else fails. I mean, not to be better, but to imagine yourself better. Um, but there's one way to find out, right? So, who knows? Give it another year, see what happens. The retreat's coming up. That should be interesting. So yeah, even if all of it's for absolutely nothing, it's an adventure. I mean, who know, like who's to judge what's for nothing? Already, already, which compared to 2 years ago, there's a huge, huge difference. I almost wish I'd started making videos back then, although it would have been just definitely painful to look at right now. Um, I was such a mess. And now it's like I'm not I don't feel so lost. I mean, I feel lost in a new way, but not in the old sort of I feel like I'm lost on higher ground, if that makes any sense. I'm not just lost in the lower ground where I'm just stuck in some swamp. I can kind of see where I was. I can kind of see what might be ahead. And I can see potential paths to get there, even though I don't practice as much as I should because I don't know why. Maybe I'm a little bit afraid. Maybe I feel like that's going to accelerate things too fast. It's already feels kind of breakneck sometimes. And also, of course, anytime I quiet down, a lot of stuff comes up that's really unpleasant, generally speaking. And I guess that powerful thought, when is this going to end? How much of this can I take? I know better, but it kind of it catches me anyway. No, man, but you don't understand. It's really painful for me. Yeah, that's what they all say. All right, one more day until we leave for North Carolina. Gonna try to make the most of it. Hang out with my kids and my parents, and yeah, I could probably do a whole other video about how much different this Thanksgiving has been than others, or family gatherings in general. Like when my mom criticizes me or asks me accusatory questions for absolutely no reason, just completely gratuitous. I'm just like, oh, she's stressed out. That's how she acts when she's stressed out. It's not. I didn't. I don't take it personally. I don't get flustered. I don't feel small. I maybe feel the small little twinge in my sensation field, and then take a breath and let it pass. Not a big deal. My brother kind of said something that you can sort of analyze it. Like, is he picking at an ancient wound? Um, but I'm like, I don't couldn't care less what he's doing. Just kind of bantered back and went on with my you know moment, whatever I was doing. Lost my mom's keys briefly, and instead of being like, "Oh God, I'm so stupid. I'm like a little kid. I can't be trusted with anything." It was just like, "Oh, a fallible human made a mistake." Um, if I'm treated like I'm a stupid kid who can't do anything right, says nothing about me. It says something about the other person. That's it. And luckily, I found it before I had to report them missing. But I didn't get all bent out of shape about it. Breathed. Um, so yeah, it's very different than 2 years ago. Very, very different. Um, and once Thanksgiving was over and kind of the crest had gone, and then we were back in the kind of peaceful trough of things, my mom chilled out. She kind of was even saying nice things, and uh, I was like, yeah, that's how she is. She gets stressed and she acts like that, just like I do sometimes. You know. Um, so, yep. Happy Thanksgiving. See you guys next time, probably on the other side of the retreat.